Welcome back to another episode of Marketing Matters with Christie Welch. Christie Welch is going to be talking about accepting payments at farmer markets. So stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Marketing Matters with Christie Welch. Christie Welch is a direct marketing specialist with the Ohio State University Extension Program. And today, she's going to be looking at the different ways individuals can pay at farmer markets. Christie, it's always a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Patrick. It's always a pleasure to be here.
And I know that you have been actively involved both personally and on a professional basis with farmer markets. And they continue to be a thriving resource for various different farms in Ohio.
Absolutely, Patrick. They are a critical outlet for a lot of our local food producers to direct market their products to consumers, which allows the consumer, of course, access to fresh, healthy, locally produced food. But it also helps keep those retail dollars for that food product in the producer's pockets, and then those get spread throughout the local community. So it's really a win-win-win.
I know that when I go to different farmer markets, there's usually a place where you can make cash payments, but I didn't realize that there are other ways that you can pay for your products.
Yeah, that's very true, Patrick. And I think a lot of folks are familiar with the ability to pay cash if they would like to at a farmer's market. And of course, when we talk about the different ways to accept payment nowadays, there are multiple ways to do that. And so we can think about, of course, accepting cash. If you're going to accept cash at the market, I think it's important to remember that whether you're the market tent where people come and swipe their debit or credit card to get tokens, what we call an alternative currency to then spend at the market, or if you're the vendor yourself taking those cash payments, I always tell folks, don't make it hard for people to pay you for your product or service. So make sure you have sufficient change. Make sure you have a money box or an apron where you can store your cash. And of course, we need to just think about safety when we have cash around. And then, with technology the way it is today, and I'm dating myself, many markets or vendors also take debit and or credit cards, as well as there are so many apps available now, Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, the list just goes on and on. And so that's another way that you can have your customers pay you.
Another show that we have is Consumer Protection and You, in which Ryan Lippy talks about different scams and different ways that people can be taken advantage of. At a farmer's market, how secure is the payments?
Well, so that's a great point, Patrick. And what we do when we talk to our direct marketing farmers and our farmers markets, which they're a little different, we'll talk about that here in a minute. But when you're using some of these payment apps, make sure that you sign up for a business account and not a personal account. I think one of the things that people don't understand, if you're using a personal account and there's some kind of a data breach, you may be liable for that breach in data, where usually with the apps that you use when you sign up for a business account, they provide that service for you. Now, of course, there's a fee that comes in the form of a transaction fee or a percentage of sale fee or things like that. But that's a really good point you have to keep in mind. When you are doing business, meaning you are making money to the betterment of yourself, you are held to a higher standard than if you and I would go to lunch and I say, I'll just Venmo you $20, Patrick. That's a lot less personal liability involved than if you're doing it for business. So very good point.
We have a variety of different large and small farmer markets, the ones that are just in it for a day, for 3 or 4 weeks, may not necessarily use a business account.
Well, they, again, just because the reasons we've just talked about, Patrick, they really should. And I think that if we talk about the farmers market in particular, or even a farm market, if you are, again, conducting business, you need to have business accounts for accepting payments. Again, it helps provide some level of liability protection for you, the business owner, if there is some kind of a data breach. Again, they are going to charge you to do that and provide that service. But in my opinion, of course, it's well worth that.
You have talked about EBT. And is that a debit or credit account?
So EBT, that's a good question, Patrick. That is, and let me go ahead and go to the next slide because that's where we're going to talk about EBT. EBT stands for Electronic Benefits Transfer. So citizens of Ohio and of course across the country that are eligible for food assistance benefits can get, in Ohio, it's called the Ohio Direction Card, a lot of times referred to again as the EBT card. But those funds come from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is part of the federal farm bill. So those are federal dollars that then come to the state of Ohio, and then Ohio can disperse those food benefits or nutrition assistance benefits to eligible individuals and families.
So what's the difference between that and WIC, all the different acronyms?
Yeah, that's a good question, Patrick. We're alphabet soup today. So again, the EBT card or the Ohio Direction Card are the federal funds that used to be known as the food stamp program that provide food assistance to eligible, again, families. There are a number of other programs that you might want to look at as a direct marketer. One is the WIC program, or Women, Infants, Children Farmers Market Nutrition Program. And so they provide some food assistance to pregnant mothers and postpartum mothers and children up to 5 years old. Then there's the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program that goes to income eligible seniors. But we have a Produce Perks program, which is actually an incentive matching program that we'll talk more about here in a minute, as well as a Produce Prescription program that is managed out of Produce Perks as well. And you might ask yourself as a local food producer, why should I be involved in all these different programs? Well, you can look at the numbers right here, and I think it's pretty evident. In Ohio in 2020, over $2 billion in SNAP or EBT funds were distributed and redeemed here in the state. So as a local food producer, there's an opportunity for you to capture some of that $2 billion. You can see additionally, WIC was at a little over 700,000. The Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program in 2022 was $1.7 million that were distributed. And then Produce Perks in 2022, almost $4 million. So again, those are opportunities for you as a local food producer and direct marketer to capture some of those dollars and hopefully increase the profitability and sustainability of your food business.
So I need the different technology outlays in order to accept these. Is that correct?
So that's a great question when we talk about the technology needed to accept these different nutrition incentives or food assistance benefits. And so again, sometimes if we're at a farmer's market, you can see this picture here where it says, welcome, get up to $25 to spend on fruits and vegetables using your SNAP EBT card. And so a farmer's market might have what they call the market tent or the community tent, where individuals can go swipe their EBT card. They're handed tokens or, again, alternative currencies, what we call those. But then they can go spend with the individual vendors that have eligible food items. And then the vendor would turn those back into the market and get reimbursed for those sales. I will say that if you are a farmer's market again or a farm market, there are management costs that go along with accepting food assistance benefits. And so you just have to be prepared to cover those costs and to be able to manage some of the record keeping that is required.
The costs are to the sellers, is that correct?
So again, Patrick, a good question. Some markets do pass some of that cost on to the vendors at the market. And so maybe they charge a vendor fee for you to be there every season. The cost to cover those, managing those transactions could come out of those vendor fees. Sometimes markets will look for sponsorships to help cover those kinds of costs, but they do have to have a plan in place to be able, again, not only to manage some of the costs of the technology, but also there's a person that has to be there to manage that machine and hand out tokens and take tokens back in and reimburse your vendors and train your vendors and all those kinds of things.
Do most farmer markets have Wi-Fi's, or are the machines able to not utilize Wi-Fi, but some other kind of technology?
You know, you and I are in Southern Ohio, and sometimes we don't have the best internet access. And I think the folks at the federal level have realized that. And there is currently a program called Market Link, which is an app that you can put on your smart device, whether that's a phone or an iPad or something to that effect. So you still have to have some kind of connectivity to be able to process those payments. And currently, Market Link has funding that can provide that equipment to a farmer's market or a direct marketing farmer at no cost for 1 year. To find out if you qualify for that program, you simply need to go to marketlink.org, and they have a button that says, see if I'm eligible. And if so, they again will provide the coverage of the cost of the app. So again, the Market Link program has an app that goes on a smart device. They need some kind of a card reader. And so then there are monthly fees that go along with accepting these benefits sometimes.
I'm looking at the picture where it has a welcome and it says get $25. Why can't I just use my Ohio card?
So Patrick, as you mentioned, this sign says get up to $25 to spend on fruits and vegetables when shopping using your SNAP or EBT card. This is a program that is managed by Produce Perks Midwest here in Ohio. Some markets have their own local, what we call nutrition incentive programs, but usually they offer a matching opportunity. So if I purchase tokens to spend on eligible foods, I can get an additional $25 at no cost to my SNAP card to spend on fresh fruits and vegetables. And that's what we call a nutrition incentive program. And I think it's important, one of the things to keep in mind with all these nutrition assistance programs is really the goal of the funders is to help people increase their access to fresh fruits and vegetables, because the research is very clear. We need to eat more fruits and vegetables than we do currently. And so this is a goal, again, to help individuals that might be food insecure to increase the amount of fresh fruits and vegetables that they are consuming.
So what would be considered fruits and vegetables? Any and all?
Yeah, if it's a locally produced fruit or vegetable, can't be processed in any way. It runs anywhere from asparagus to zucchini and everything in between. The difference being here at farmers markets, you might have somebody that is selling protein, like maybe you have somebody that sells local beef or pork or poultry, and you would like to have some of that for your weekly meals. Well, what you would do then in that instance is use your SNAP EBT tokens to purchase that protein product, and then use those Produce Perks tokens to purchase those fresh fruits and vegetables. And that's the other thing I would just say that folks need to be aware of. These programs have certain things that you can and cannot purchase with these nutrition incentive benefits, and we can talk more about that.
Yeah, I'd like to find out more. I remember on food stamps, individuals using them could buy anything that was food but not any paper products. Is that the same way with the EBT, the SNAP, or the Ohio Direction Card?
Yes, Patrick, it has to be a food item to use the SNAP or EBT benefits. And that has to be food that is designed to be consumed at home. So even if I'm at a farmer's market and I have a food truck there that's selling a prepared food that's ready to eat when I purchase it from that food truck, your SNAP benefits cannot purchase those types of items. Now, on the flip side of that, what your SNAP benefits can purchase are plants that produce food. So if you're at a market and somebody's selling tomato plants or pepper plants or something that produces food, you can use those benefits to purchase those plants. Again, the goal is to get people to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables because we know it's healthy for us. So really, Patrick, what we're talking about are nutrition incentives and why would I, as a local food producer, want to accept those? Or even if I'm a eligible recipient, why would I want to have access to those incentives? And again, the whole goal, as I may be sounding like a broken record, again, dating myself with that phrase, we want people to consume more fresh fruits and vegetables because the health indicators are very clear. They can really help us be healthier individuals as well as managing some chronic diseases. And so the overall goal of incentive programs is to improve the health through better nutrition. Nutrition incentive programs provide matching dollars to purchase fresh produce or fruits and vegetables. And those matching funds can come from a variety of sources, sometimes federal, state, local, or a non-governmental organization. Some farmers markets even raise their own funds locally to offer these types of programs.
You say fruits and vegetables. What about milk or dairy products? Are they considered acceptable?
So again, it depends on the program that we're talking about. With the SNAP EBT, yes, you can purchase dairy products. With the other programs that we've mentioned today, the Women's Infants Children program, you can purchase some dairy on those as well. Again, we're looking at the health of the mother, whether she's pregnant or postpartum, and children up to 5 years old. When we look at the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program and the Produce Perks, those programs are only designed to allow you to purchase fresh, unprocessed fruits and vegetables. And so it really depends on the source of the funding and what the goal of that funder is on what you can use those incentive dollars on. So again, we might want to know why a farmer's market would want to accept nutrition incentives at their farmer's market. Again, it increases the amount of and diversity of customers at a farmer's market. And when we remember, we talked about those dollars that are being spent in Ohio already. If we as a farmer's market and a direct marketer can capture some of those dollars, that helps our business, that helps that person that's using those benefits to have access to fresh local food. And then, as I mentioned, those dollars tend to stay in the community. And so if we look at accepting SNAP, you would want those folks to be able to increase their purchasing power. That might be when you want to look at offering some of these produce perks incentives. And again, it's all about increasing the access to fresh fruits and vegetables to help improve the health of folks. And I would say that if you are a farmer's market particularly, again, we have to think about the ability to manage those types of programs at the market. And so just a few considerations you'd want to think about is you need to have staff that can administer the program. You need to educate your customers and your vendors on what different incentives can be used to purchase. There are some reporting requirements and record keeping that goes along with that. You have to monitor the program to ensure the integrity of the use of funds. And you also have to have a separate bank account where those funds can be deposited. So with the SNAP program in particular, those are electronic transfers. So nobody's going to send you a check for the farmer's market where you can then reimburse your vendors it's going to be an electronic transfer. So you need to have a bank account that is separate from a personal bank account where you can keep those funds.
I know that there are a variety of different sizes of farmer markets. A number of years ago, my wife and I went to Canada, and they had a very large farmer market. And I know that you could buy anything and everything. I know that Canada may or may not participate with the EBT, but on the same token, in Ohio, we have some very big farmer markets that go year round. The question is, the larger, the more chance that they will accept the different tokens?
That's a really great question, Patrick. That's an individual decision for each farmer's market. Many times it is based on the capacity that they have to, again, manage these programs. Because, again, there are costs associated with using the technology, acquiring the technology, having the person at the market to distribute and redeem tokens. And so it really varies, I think, from market to market. I think those markets that do accept SNAP and these incentive programs do so, one, because they also want their local community to have access to healthy food, but they also care about their farmers and local food producers and want to give them the opportunity to capture some of those dollars that are being distributed.
So supposing I'm just a one product farmer. Let's say that's all I do is grow pumpkins. If I go to the farmer market, should I also take advantage of these different programs, or is it the cost is just too much?
That's a good question, Patrick. Again, I would say it depends on the market and how they have put a policy in place to help cover the costs. I rarely see where it's cost prohibitive for the individual vendor to participate in programs. Again, the main thing is, do you have a product, a local food product that is eligible under these different programs to participate? So again, when we talk about eligibility, well, who says what's eligible to use those benefits on and who is not? Well, with the federal dollars, it comes from our policymakers at the federal level. So a great example here is the Farmers Market Nutrition Program. If you have Farmers Market Nutrition Program vouchers or coupons to spend at a farmer's market, you can see the list here of what is eligible: vegetables, herbs, fruits, and honey. So you might have maple syrup producers at your market that are like, well, why can't they buy my maple syrup? And unfortunately, the answer is, we didn't make the rules. We just have to follow the rules. I do think that if you are going to offer or participate in these incentive programs, these nutrition programs, whether at the farmer's market level or as an individual vendor or producer, there are many resources available to help you think through if that will work for your particular situation. There are many resources available to help you think about which programs you or your market might want to participate in. Here's a series of fact sheets that some OSU colleagues and I put together to talk all about nutrition incentives, what they are, how they operate. So that's one place to look for information. Also, you can look to the people that administer these programs, like the USDA's Food Nutrition Service that administers SNAP at the federal level, the USDA Food Nutrition Service, which administers the WIC program and the Senior Farmers Market Nutrition Program, Produce Perks Midwest, which works with the fruit and vegetable incentives and the RX program. And then I would say to talk to other farmers markets and vendors that are doing it. And so the Ohio Farmers Market Network has resources available, as well as the opportunity to make connections with markets that have been there, done that. And so you can learn from them as well. And then, of course, Patrick, they can also reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions, provide additional information, and share additional resources.
We're talking with Christie Welch. She's a direct marketing specialist with the Ohio State University Extension Program. Christie, great information and thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.